What's happening, guys? The Real Napoleon here, and I'm excited to bring you a new video series. Is it worth it? Or worth a buy, actually? So, one of the things I see a lot of times is people asking, is this premium worth it or is that vehicle worth it? And I decided to put together a video series kind of outlining some of the premiums and worth under, starting with obviously the ones that I currently own, and eventually entailing me spending my money to, hopefully save you guys some money if it's a turd or not. Obviously, there are a lot of premiums in War Thunder, and some of them are better than others. But through this series, we're going to go ahead and explore some of the premiums and see, are they worth it? Um, First up, I have the American T20, rank 3 BR 5.0 medium tank. And honestly, my initial impression of this tank is really awesome. I like it. I think it's totally a fun tank to ride around and click on tanks with. And let's just jump into some of the armor profile, right? So, as you'll notice, 76 millimeters of frontal armor gives you an effective thickness of about 100 millimeters. So you're looking at Tiger 1 kind of armor profile on the upper plate, albeit at a good angle of 48 degrees. The lower glacis is at a angle of about 51 degrees, giving you about 130 millimeters of effective thickness on the front. Now, the sides are only 50 millimeters thick, so these are pretty easy to pen, especially if you look, there's big areas here, there's some areas here. But if you give the enemy kind of an angle, something similar to this, the tracks are going to eat up a lot of rounds, and then you have a lot of nice real estate to protect your frontal turret or your frontal tank. Now moving on to the turret, we have about 90 to 100 millimeters of effective thickness on the mantlet, and then moving around to the cheeks, the angle is going to give you really good effective thickness around 130, 140, depending on where you're aiming at. And if we move to the side profile, you'll see now we're down to about 60, 70 millimeters. It's really easy to pen all over the side. It's really easy to pen. So this is kind of a front on, maybe a little bit angled tank, especially with the turret facing the enemy. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the crew, it's a 5 crew tank, and it's actually kind of spread out considering how small this tank is. You can see there's ammo kind of spread everywhere though. So an ammo rack is something to worry about, but really the front plate's going to protect this pretty well. It's kind of rare that I've gotten one-shotted in this tank, which kind of brings me to the second part of its survivability. It's super duper mobile. It can do about 30 miles an hour forward. I think it's about 15 miles an hour in reverse. And this tank really lets you peek in and out of corners really well. If you take a look at where the turret is situated on the hull, it's really far forward. So you're not exposing very much when it comes to peeking out, and then the great reverse gear is going to get you out of that situation super duper fast. Now, it's bringing into the battlefield a long 76, has about 125 millimeters of armor pen, and it's a really fun gun to use at this BR2. It really competes well. It might not one-shot every tank, but you're going to one-shot a lot of tanks, and if not, the reload's only 6.2 seconds, so you have a secondary shot to bring to bear really quickly. But that's enough of the boring stuff. Let's jump right into some gameplay. I have a replay that was really fun. It was kind of a really balanced match. Unfortunately, not any kind of gameplay that's an ace gameplay. But if this video is popular enough, I might do a compilation of me clicking on tanks and getting some nice little peeky shots with it. But let's jump into the gameplay. All right, guys, we're here on Ash River, and like I said, this was a really balanced gameplay. Not an ace. I didn't get a million kills, unfortunately, but it was just a really fun match. Kind of a recurring theme with a lot of my videos, right? I have a lot of fun on the tanks I post up. I just want to kind of highlight some of the maneuverability and the survivability of this tank as we move up. So at this point, I'm kind of moving up to the C point, and I'm going to leave the enemy markers on so we can kind of have a better awareness of what's going on. But obviously, I didn't see these because this was tank RB. I knew there was a tank on the C point, and I'm just kind of checking around the corners to see where we're going. You can see me hitting that 30 miles an hour nicely downhill. Now, anybody that's played Ash River knows that this little area here in the mud slows your tank down a lot, but I'm still doing a respectable 15 miles an hour. And I can still traverse to take this BT5 out. First shot doesn't kill him, but my machine guns do. You got plenty of 50 cals on the front of this tank to deliver justice to these light tanks. At this point, I kind of saw this PT-76 as I'm backing up. And I whiff the shot. Doesn't even damage a track, nothing, right? Try to get around into him. And again, not a kill, but still puts a big damage to him. I think that was his loader. So we're just going to cap up this point, and I'm going to fast forward just to get back into the action a little bit. So at this point, I'm moving forward. I'm going to climb up the hill. I'm keeping an eye just to make sure I can see if any enemies are coming and going. And honestly, it's just, like I said, a low profile little tank. As I pull up, try to get my gun on this T-34, and he dies before I can even take him out. And now I'm going to move up to the B point and grab a cap. Now, one of the things that I like about this tank too that makes it super fun is artillery, right? I think that makes a medium tank so much more versatile than any other tank, barring maybe the light tanks, I guess. So I put down some artillery on the A point, get some hits, damaging the enemy. We're going to get a cap, and then I notice the C point starting to decap. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take this cap. And now we're going to move down. We're going to go check out the C point situation. So I don't even notice this gas truck. I'm keeping my eyes to the left as he starts lighting me up. And I try to get my guns to bear on him. And you can see he really only damaged my track and injured a couple of my crew, but they didn't even die. Survivability. Not a lot of tanks can take a side shot from these artillery trucks. Now, as I move into position, the one thing that does kind of stink about this tank is a little bit of poor depression. So I couldn't get my guns on this Whirlwind, or this Oswind, excuse me, fast enough. But my jumbo buddy here helped me out. And we'll go ahead and get our second cap of the day. So I got 2 tank kills already. We're going to go ahead and get our second cap. And now at this point, I'm just kind of trying to drive around, figure out where the enemy's at. And this tank really fits my playstyle. I love to stay moving. I don't like to hold down and snipe. So I start hearing gunshots. I'm peeking around trying to see where the enemy's at. And I see that they're capping on A, so I'm going to go investigate A. Let's go zoom over to A right now. So I'm going to drop artillery on A. And do I have any luck? Got some hits, and I kill a French AA truck. We'll just zoom right on up to the A point. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Checking on these hulls and making sure I'm not getting killed by anything poking out. And just jump into the A point. And pretty much that's the end of the match, really. I mean, you can see I didn't stop moving. Plays really well to my gameplay style. And overall, it's just a fun tank because I get to play the way I love to play. Blitzkrieg style, running, gunning. I tanked a bunch of shots. I didn't lose a single crew member. I capped a bunch of points, and overall it was a really, really fun game for me. Well, yeah, guys, so one thing I did mention now that we're back in the hangar is its size profile compared to a Sherman. So side by side, if I bring them up, you can kind of see it's almost half the size of a Sherman. It's half the size of a Sherman. And yeah, it's overall just a really fun tank. Great mobility, good armor profile, has a great gun. It's definitely worth a buy. If you guys haven't guessed already, stamp that seal of approval on it. This one's worth a buy, especially if you can pick it up with a discount. If not, it's still worth a buy. Use it to grind out the mid-tier American Tech tree, or just to have a fun tank. It's really just a rewarding experience driving around in this tank. As always, guys, Give me a thumbs up if you love the video. Give me a thumbs down if you hated the video. Let me know in the comments below what vehicles you want me to check out for the worth a buy, and I'll do my best to kind of review them. All right, guys? Well, make sure you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications when I drop a new video, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.